Hey Journey family, Pastor Jordan here. I just want to give a quick update. I know we're all following the ever-changing progress and restrictions and all that's happening in our culture around the coronavirus. And so we wanted to give you a clear update as to how we're going to operate as a church going forward for this season. And so basically we are going to cancel all in-person gatherings until further notice. So we're going to move to all online engagement basically until further notice. We'll just keep following it and kind of go with the guidelines of the experts. And there's been a couple of questions about why we're doing that and the role of government with the church. And although I think the urgency is probably increasing and there's less of that, but in general, I know there's a few questions about why are we letting the government sort of tell us what to do and that we can't gather. And that is not what's happening here at all. If we get to a place where, like many of our brothers and sisters around the world, that the government says it's not okay to meet and we're going to be at our own personal risk if we do, man, that's a totally different deal. We're going to choose to honor the Lord. We're going to choose to gather in those situations. This is not what's happening here. This is not about self-preservation. This is, in fact, we believe is about loving our neighbor, that this is our role to play in loving our neighbor as we, as a community, as a state, as a nation, really as the world comes together to try to save as many lives as possible, to flatten this curve, to limit the impact that this virus can have. This is our role to play, and it's not our preference. We are going to miss gathering together, and it's not going to be comfortable, but there's lots of changes that are going to be happening. And so that's our plan. Until further notice, no in-person gatherings, not our community groups. They're going to be even moving to digital gatherings as well. And so, but that doesn't mean we're canceling church. So we still really believe now, perhaps more than ever, that the redemptive community and the redemptive relationships that God has called us to here that we talk about regularly are still important, and we still want to find ways to connect with one another. In fact, probably double down on that. And so we still want to have redemptive relationships with God, as we talk about. Like, we need Him. We need to be in constant relationship with Him. So one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to continue to put services online. And so each Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, we'll be releasing a service for you and your family to gather together and to worship with us. And so since we're not gathering in groups anymore to watch that, we would encourage you, if you have a Facebook, to actually jump on the Facebook to watch that together as a family. It's kind of fun. You can say hi, you can have comments, you can see who's watching, and it's a lot of fun. So we prefer you do that. Actually, it's going to be some glimmer of connection that we can kind of have. And so every Sunday morning at 10, we will release a service with some worship music and a sermon, and we'll continue doing that throughout. We're also going to continue to find ways to put out resources, supplies, and even some media for you guys with your kids to continue to disciple and help supplement your family worship and those sorts of things. So we're going to continue that. And then we also want to continue our relationships with one another. We believe that not only are we supposed to be in a relationship with God, but also to be known by and loved by His people. And so community groups, though we're not going to be gathering in person, we're going to continue to live life together and reach out to one another, check in with one another, pray for one another, and gather to the degree that we can digitally. And so if you're not in a community group, we would invite you to let us help you with that. So we want to help plug you in. This might be a time where you realize just how much that's needed, and we want to help facilitate that. So, but if you are, man, stay in touch with your group leader. Help them facilitate some digital things. Be creative on your own. Don't just wait for your community group leader to set things up, but you yourself can help be the body and help us stay connected, encourage one another, and be ready to serve one another. And then along those same lines, we want to still be serving our community. So we talk about relationships with God, with one another, and then being in relational ministry with His community, so that we're in relationships with people who are far from God or are struggling to be connected with Him. And we want to be walking with them, doing life with them, and pointing them to the gospel. And we don't want that to stop just because we're not allowed to gather in the same way that we used to. And so we want to be ready to serve our community. I believe that God is actually going to use this for His kingdom's good in many ways, and I want us to be ready to serve and to show up and to be the church as our community has needs. And so we've reached out to school officials, we've reached out to community officials and let them know that we're ready, and they've assured us that when those needs come up, they will let us know. And so there'll be a form actually on this page where you can say, hey, I'm willing to help, or hey, I have a need. And that's, we want to encourage you, as you do have needs, to let us know. We know that different people are going to have different levels of preparedness, different levels of resources that are going to, make this easier or harder. And part of being the church is that we level that out by carrying one another's burdens, much like the early church did in Acts 2, where somebody has need, if somebody can fill that need, we just do that for each other. And so we're going to need to be willing to share that. That's going to be a lot on you to speak up and say, hey, I need this. Maybe that's toilet paper. Maybe that's help paying a bill. Maybe that is somebody getting a prescription for you. It could be any of those things or something totally different, but we'll need you to speak up. So if you're in community, just let your group leader know. And if they can't meet it within their group, they'll spread that out to us and we'll help meet that need. If you're not and you would like to still express that need, you can just simply let us know at info@thejourneysi.org. That's a quick and easy way. Or if you want to text The Journey to 97,000. So the number is 97,000. If you just simply text The Journey, and if you're not connected here, we'll get you connected. We'll follow up with you, and we would love to do that. And so we want to continue to be the church in this pandemic because we believe our culture, our world is going to need the hope of Christ in this time really more than ever. And so we want to continue to be that. So along those lines, as you and your family are making adjustments, and we know that for many that'll mean financial adjustments, we want you to keep the church in mind. We talk each week about how we give as an act of worship, and it's not about God needing our money or us needing your money. It's about you and the Lord and trusting Him. And so the Lord invites us to trust Him in everyday life so that when things like this come up, and there is uncertainty, that our trust will be in Him. So let's not waver. Let's not pull back and try to control and out of fear. Let's continue to trust the Lord. Let's continue to be faithful. And as you're making adjustments, don't forget about the church because we want to continue to be a beacon of hope. We want to continue to be a place of ministry for our community. We're doing all we can to save money. We've shut down most of our building, HVAC, lighting. We're trying to save as much on utilities as possible. Our part-time staff is working minimally, if at all. And so we're proactively saving money. No expenses are being approved unless it's essential. We want to be able to channel what resources we do have to benevolence and to mission. We want to be able to meet needs of our people in the church and in the community. And so that's where we're channeling the resources we have. We're doing all we can to leverage all that we do have toward that end, but we want you to prayerfully consider, okay, what does it look like to remain faithful in this season? Because again, we want to continue to be the church, and we want to be prayerful that God uses us, the Journey, and other churches, other Christians around Southern Illinois, and really the world, to bring glory to His name in this season. So please stay engaged. If you're not engaged and you'd like to be, please take advantage. We'll have links here on this page for you to do that. But we love you. We want to continue to shepherd you. If you have some needs, you're struggling with anxiety and panic and things like that, our counselors that we partner with are still seeing some folks as of now, and they're moving to a lot of telehealth, pathways where they can, conference in through telephone and video chat and still serve some folks. And so if that's you and you have some of those needs, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll get you connected. We want to serve you as well. So we want to shepherd people. We still want to be the church. We just got to be a little more creative in the way we do it. So we love you. As soon as we'll be following, the progress just like you all are. And as soon as we have news to share about getting back together and gathering, we will share it with you. But for now, this is our plan. Until further notice, we're moving to online engagement. Guys, continue to be the body of Christ, and we're praying for you, and we're here for you. We love you.